Coming up on today's episode of the Moneypants podcast, Payday. It's not just about the money. We'll discuss why you should hold Payday, the right way to do it, and a bunch of wrong ways. The secret to jumpstarting Moneypants if you've gone off track, how it helps with achieving your goals, and why it helps establish trust with your family members. Plus, we'll talk about directed spending, when to use the prize bag, and the power of cash. All this and more, but first, the joke of the day.
So I was donating one of my kidneys at my local town hospital, and for some reason they actually were paying me for it. So I thought, wow, this is a great source of income. The next morning I showed up with 5 kidneys, but now I'm confused. Instead of paying me, they're calling 911. Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Moneypants podcast. We're your hosts, Hannah and Fontaine Judd, and we're the proud parents of 7 sons and 6 daughters, ranging in age from college student to toddler. We're both BYU graduates and the creators of Moneypants. Head on over to CaptainMoneyPants.com to learn more about what we do and what we're all about. We're on a mission to support families who are trying to raise hardworking kids and to combat the current trend of entitlement. Today's topic is Payday. This is one of my absolute favorite parts of the whole Moneypants concept. It's because it's so much fun. I love being a part of helping people become better and to achieve their goals. And this is where the rubber hits the road when it comes to implementing this system is Payday. And I think, okay, so Hannah, I guess the first question would be, why do we do Payday at all?
Like, why do we do Payday?
Yeah, what's the point?
Well, one of the mistakes about Payday is that it's just paying your kids the money.
Oh,
and,
right. It's not just handing money.
It's not just handing the kids money. It's not just about the money. A couple podcasts ago, we had one about the fastest way to achieve your goals. And there are certain things you need to do if you want to achieve your goals as quickly as possible and be successful when you set goals. And so that's the purpose of Moneypants, is not just for people to earn money, but for them to actually achieve their goals. So
for every member of the family to achieve their goals, to become better, to awesomize your family, as we say.
Yeah, we call it Payday, but really Payday is more than just paying somebody. It is giving them the reward that, hey, you earned this, but it's also the accountability. It's their opportunity to go over what they accomplished that week and show it to somebody else. And that is, what's that quote about?
Okay. It's, when I love it. It says, when performance is measured, it improves. But when performance is measured and reported, it improves faster. Yeah.
So even if you were to do quote unquote Payday and not pay somebody, but have them report to you, you would see them improve in their progress just from that. Simply
by having somebody to report to.
Yeah. So instead, we're going to say, hey, no. Let's be the most effective here. You're going to reward them. And you're going to do that at the same time. Yeah,
so they're going to get a reward. So, okay, when you're setting goals, you have to have a reward in place. That was one of the principles.
Yeah.
And so that's what Payday is. You're getting that monetary reward. But then another one of the goal-setting principles was to make sure you have an accountability partner. And that's what the parent does who's conducting Payday. They're that accountability partner for whoever, the family member who's trying to achieve these goals.
Yeah. So if you want to make the best use of your time, get the most bang for your buck, you're going to do both of those things at the same time. And you'll see the best results if you do that.
What if your boss did that? What if they did that at work? Like your pay was commensurate with how effective you were. Like your boss set you down at the end of the week and was like, all right,
let's go over what you got done this week.
And if you had a good week, you got more pay. I wonder, how would that change the workforce?
Well,
if you had those weekly accountability meetings.
Yeah. So our oldest daughter.
Maybe it would be a disaster. I don't know.
Our oldest daughter, she's used to that sort of form of pay. And so, yeah, she has a job where she's paid on commission. And she does.
Oh, she thrives.
She thrives on it because this is how she grew up. So
makes sense to her. I work hard, I make more money.
Yeah, so every week she's getting all these huge bonuses. She's always their top person of the week, and she's always getting free movie tickets, free subscriptions, free cell phones, all this stuff because she totally grasps this idea of, hey, the harder I work, and the more I accomplish,
the more I get rewarded.
The more I get rewarded for it.
Yeah,
so
what a
she's
concept.
always taking advantage of that at her work, and that makes sense to her. So some jobs are actually like that, but it's kind of a fun. It makes her job a lot more fun.
If your boss is a benevolent, kind person who's trying to help you succeed, like.
Yeah, well, at her work, they are, because the more money she brings in, the more money they make, and the better their business does.
That's good business.
So it's positive.
And we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Where how to run Payday so that it is a positive, uplifting, getting you excited, motivational thing.
Yeah, even though her job is, answering sales calls, or it's not really an exciting job, they make it fun by the way they structure it. And so similarly, helping your family members not only accomplish their responsibilities at home, but also helping them achieve their goals, you want to kind of have a similar environment for Payday.
So, but that's why we do Payday. It is actually the most effective tool in your arsenal to help you accomplish your goals. It's one of those tools in this tool chest we call Moneypants. It's one of your main tools for helping everybody in the family achieve their goals, because you have the accountability as well as the reward. It is the reward.
Yeah. And the reward, it's money. And you're like, oh, well, what if I don't care about money? No, money is a generic reward. And we do that on purpose because you can spend money when you want to spend it on whatever you want to spend it.
Right. It's malleable.
It's malleable. So you can turn it into something that is important to you.
It's the perfect reward.
Yeah.
Actually.
And so that turns into your gym membership, or that turns into money you want to donate to your favorite charity, or it turns into getting your hair done, or
lessons, or dance
basketball.
Shoes, or basketball.
Yeah. So whatever's important to you, it can be turned into supporting that.
Right.
And so that's why we use that, because otherwise you'd have to be thinking of, what prize can I have ready for you on each Friday that will really motivate you? That's too much work.
Yeah.
And so that's why we use money, because it's more efficient, it's more malleable, it can mean different things to different people.
Because it can be transformed into anything.
Yes. So almost anything.
Almost anything.
Not love.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay.
You're right.
All right.
But the question is, so now that we've established the need for Payday and kind of why we do Payday, let's talk about how to do it. Like, how do we run Payday, and how to be effective when we're running Payday? And I think, well, you said it. The first off, you sit down and review the person's progress for the week. That's the whole concept of the accountability partner.
They report to you. And if you're using the app, you can go, when you're on the Payday section, you click on Review the Week. Is it Review the Week?
Yeah.
And you can click on any job, any habit, and see which days they got it done, how many times.
Yeah.
And you can visually just go through with the person and go, oh, so you wrote in your journal three times.
It's like a digital point chart. We used to have the paper point charts, and you could see. Well, it's the same thing on the app. It's just now it's digital.
And if you're doing paper, you do the same thing.
Right.
But
just review the jobs and the habits.
Yeah. So do the same thing. So you want to review it.
But you had a point. You're like, this is the principles that we espouse are the exact same ones they use with addicts and people who are recovering from addictions. Is the exact same principles they use there, where you have to have a reward and you have to have an accountability partner, and you do it weekly. I guess we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. But that's for people overcoming drug addictions and stuff like that. This is what they found is one of the most useful tools, ways of helping them overcome something. So whether you're trying to overcome something or
you're trying to develop a new habit, this is what you want to do. You want to report to somebody weekly. You want to have a reward set up, and it's effective. It's proven to work. It's proven to be very effective.
So first thing you need to do is you need to review. You can review the jobs, their responsibilities, and then you can review their habits.
And I think here it's important to note that you need to think of the family as a team, and that mom and dad are the coaches. Mom and dad are the coaches, and the kids are the players. But even mom and dad, like we said before, everybody has specific jobs in the family. Mom and dad aren't exempt, where Mom and dad have specific jobs as well.
And one of the parents is actually, it's going to be their job to be the payday person. So
Right.
that person would be the coach, basically, for payday.
Exactly. But if you think about that, it's like payday is like the team meeting after the game, where you just had the game, whether you won or lost, you still need to review how you did. And so, and it's this big, it's a big, you all sit down, you look at the same game film and see who did what, how everybody fared, because everybody does different. Game day is, your week is your game film, where how did every family member do the previous week? That's what you're reviewing, is the previous week for each family member on payday, just like a team would review game film after the game to see how everybody did in their individual roles.
Yeah. And now some coaches are more effective than others in how they run this review of the game. And so some coaches...
Some are better than others.
Yeah, some coaches make it a fun thing. They have pizza there. They have, hey, we're going to watch game film and review game film. And they kind of make it a party.
And everybody leaves there wanting to do better, to improve, to be ready for the next week.
And,
hey, we're going to knock it out of the park this next game. Yeah, and they leave highly motivated.
Yeah, and so a smart coach, what he wants to do is he really wants to draw attention to when somebody did something right.
Right.
And all the highlights.
There's that concept. If you want to encourage a behavior, you feed it. But if you want to discourage a behavior, you starve it.
Yeah. So
So if you want to encourage bad behavior, feed it.
Yeah, give that the attention.
Focus all your attention on what they did wrong, and they'll get more of that. But if you starve it and feed the good behavior and focus on the good behavior, that's where you're spending all your time and energy. That's what will grow.
Reinforcing. Okay, look, you went to the right spot here, and because you were at the right spot, you caught that ball.
Yeah, look at that play. Let's watch it again. Look at that.
Okay, so see what he did there. That's exactly what he was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Whether you win or lose, you can find those moments. So a good coach will do that.
Those are the good coaches. But there are also coaches. Don't be this, though. Don't be the bad coach. Don't be the one that focuses on the negative.
I don't know what you guys were thinking this week.
They have their entire, when they're watching game film, they've tallied every single bad play. And you're like, what? Really?
So,
you're just gonna bag on us for an hour?
My dad's 6'9", and he always played basketball, and he actually was the center at BYU for college. Mm-hmm. And he didn't get along with his coach very well, and he didn't really like his coach at the time. I don't know, who it was or anything, but they didn't get along so well. But one time he was really frustrated because they had this game and he had a great game. He had put a lot of energy into it. He had scored more than anybody else.
No. The stats were like 38 points and 18 rebounds.
Yeah, it was like one of his best games. An
insane game, like a really good game.
Yeah. And they went back to the locker room and to review game film. And my dad's like, wow, I did really good. And he felt really good. His stats were great. It was one of the better games he had played. And instead of focusing on that, he had made some dumb mistake at some point where he kind of looked stupid at some point. Mm-hmm. And the coach found this part on the film, and he kept playing it over and over again, making fun of my dad in front of everybody else.
See, that's just lame.
And my dad left there. He wasn't motivated to do a good job.
He left there thinking his coach was a jerk.
So it doesn't matter if I do a good job. I'm still going to be treated badly by my coach. And all he's going to focus on is the one mistake I made during the entire game. And so that's what we don't want, because you can do this wrong. Okay. So you don't want payday to be a criticism,
you don't
a bad
be that
session.
Coach.
You don't want to be that coach. And you can... My dad still gets frustrated when he tells this story, because it was a very frustrating experience, especially when he had worked so hard. And so similarly, when you're doing payday, you got to realize that there are 10 habits on there. They're all new, and chances are they're things that individual, they weren't doing before.
Right.
And so them figuring out how to fit all this into their schedule, how to accomplish it, it's actually really difficult. And you don't realize it until you, the parent, are doing it yourself. And so
you think it's easy? Go
you
ahead
think
and
it's
try
easy
it.
when
Try it.
if you're just having your kids do it, you're like, well, why aren't they doing this? These are easy.
Why
blah,
didn't
blah,
they
blah.
write in their journal every day? Why didn't they brush their teeth every day?
Yeah, it's on here. But you, the parent, try it and you'll see,
try it.
oh my goodness, changing your habits during the day.
It's a lot harder than it looks.
It is really challenging. So if they even have anything marked, that's great. And that is actually progress. So
when we're doing Payday, that's the number one rule. No criticism.
Yeah.
There can't be any criticism.
Focus on what they accomplished. Make that the highlight of it. Now, when we say criticism, somebody once explained it to me this way, like, what's the difference between correction and criticism? Like, useful correction and criticism. And the analogy, and I don't know where I got this from, but the analogy was, think of an air traffic controller. An air traffic controller has to give corrections to, that's their job, has to give corrections to the person landing the plane. But they're not criticizing. They're not saying, oh my goodness, who gave you your license? Okay, you are the worst pilot I have ever seen. Do you call this a landing? That's not what they're doing. Instead, they're saying,
come on, adjust by 5 degrees, you knucklehead.
Yeah. Instead, they're saying, okay, you're up a little, you're 3 degrees up, bring it 3 degrees down. And they're very technical and they just focus on the numbers. There's no personal attacks there. There's nothing like that. They're just very matter of fact and helpful. They're there to help. They're there to help them land safely, and that's their objective. But they're not making any personal attacks on their heritage, their race, their mental capacity. That's not what the air traffic controller is doing.
Levels.
I mean, now I'm not an airline pilot. Maybe there are some air traffic controllers that do that, but they probably have a short career. So
the idea is this: just you're making commentary on what you're seeing. Focus on the facts. This is what I'm seeing. This is what's going on. And so that's how you should run Payday.
So like if you're going down the list and you're like, okay, great, you so good, you wrote in your journal 3 times this week. Okay, you didn't make your bed at all this week. Okay, and you could say, okay, what happened there? Ask questions. Say, what happened there? Okay.
But it's not negative.
But it's not.
No
you don't be like,
negative.
what happened there, moron? And how you ask the questions matters.
Right.
It's not derogatory. It's more the goals that your kids have. They should be goals that they made for themselves.
Right. And
things that they want to accomplish, and they want to make more money. And so really, if you ask a question, it should be more the kid thinking, oh, well, analyzing the situation.
Oh, no. Here's the thing. If they made these goals themselves, these are things that they've been working towards, they're going to be their own worst critic. You don't need to say boo. You're not going to have to point out anything. They're going to show up and they're going to go, yeah, I wanted to practice guitar 3 times or every day this week, and I only did it 3 times. You don't have to say, well, why didn't you practice 4 times? What you do need to do is say, whoa, you did it 3 times this week. Great.
Yeah.
And so you're focusing on what they accomplished, not what they didn't accomplish, because they already know. They're well aware of what they didn't get done.
Yeah. And then also when you're doing the Payday, it'll show whether or not they got their bonuses.
Yeah.
And you're able to see how close they were to getting their bonuses. So there's a bonus if they do their job every day without missing, they get a bonus, right? And basically it doubles their money. If they're consistent. Whereas with the habits, if they get 70% of their habits, 75% of their habits done, they get a bonus that basically doubles the amount of money that they get. So getting these bonuses really makes a difference. So you're able to see, oh, you were only 40 points away from getting your habit bonus, for example. And so then they're able to look and go, 40 points, I was that close.
Oh, if I had just done a little bit more effort, a little more energy.
And so especially when you're starting out, it's important that kids understand what the bonus is and that you're communicating that to them. So make sure they know, say, okay, you can double your money, but you need to get 40 more points in there. How can you do that?
Right.
Do you
Again,
think
air traffic controller.
Yeah. If you do that,
adjust by just a little
it's
bit.
going to double your money for that section. And so it will get them thinking, well, I mean, analyzing what they're doing, but they need to know that that's what would happen.
And how close they were.
And so communicating that's important.
But also there's the mastery.
Right.
And the mastery is huge too, where, if you do, and the mastery is hard, to do a job or a habit every day without missing a single day, that means no substitutions, no missed, nothing. It's got to be done and pass off every single day for that week. Then you get 1 mastery point. You need to make a big deal out of that. Like, wow, very impressive. You got a mastery point for, and then whatever it is that they're working on. And that in and of itself is a huge reward of a sense of accomplishment. And then the positive reinforcement of the parent saying, good job. And then the monetary reward. It's just, these are layered rewards. And we'll talk about that in a future podcast.
Yeah.
But the idea is that you want that positive reinforcement. And if they missed it by 1 day, point that out and say, oh man, you were so close. Awesome. I bet you could do it next week.
Yeah. Well, also, this is a good time to refine things where, for example, let's say you haven't set up a mastery award where maybe they have a goal. They don't want to change it because you may say, hey, do you want to change that goal? Is that not really a goal that you want? And they're like, no, I want to do this. But they're struggling with it.
Maybe they made it too hard for themselves.
Yeah, maybe you can make it more reasonable. Or if no, they want that goal, then what you can do is you can make sure you set up a mastery reward. Say, hey,
right.
Why don't we, if you can get 8 masteries, we'll do this. Where you don't miss a single day for a week
Falcon,
is 1 mastery.
If you practice basketball every day for the 20 minutes that you set for 8 weeks in a row and get 8 mastery points, I will get you a new basketball.
Yeah.
Or I'll take you shopping to go get you a new basketball.
Well, usually we don't set it up 8 weeks in a row. Just if you can get 8 mastery points. Yeah. Anytime, if you can get 8 total where you've gone an entire week without missing and you accumulate 8 of those mastery points, we'll do this.
Right.
And so you can use that as a time to find ways to support and encourage your kids in what they're trying to accomplish. If you're worried about criticism, just go through the list, review, say, okay, go through the 10 habits, say, you got this one done 3 times, you got this one done 7 times, you got this one done once, this one you didn't get done this week, this one you didn't get done this week, this one you got done twice, this one you didn't get done this week, this one, and your total amount that you earn from habits is this much, and you were this much away from the bonus, you're very close, and leave it at that.
Yeah.
And that way it's just very matter of fact, but it's being reviewed by somebody else.
And that's the key. Every item should be reviewed.
Yeah.
Each daily job, each habit, each weekly, every item
and just
on the
go
Payday
through
list
just go
should be
through
reviewed.
the list, go that.
Don't
This
skip,
was the
don't skip
total.
anything.
You earned this much, you got your bonus, which doubled it. You didn't get your bonus. You were this close. And you can make it very matter of fact. But that's reviewing it. And it's like the coach going over the statistics for the game, to go over your stats. You had a 30% shot. Yeah, I don't know. You know what they say.
You made 35% of your shots. Yep. But
yeah, just this is how you did. This is blah 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 blah. Just matter of fact.
Yep.
And then you can take it.
You had 8 rebounds, 1
and you
block,
can say,
and 2 steals.
you did
Great.
better than you did last game. Last game, you only had 25%. So you've improved on this and this.
Exactly. But I want to point out, though, if something looks awry or something is off, there's nothing wrong with asking questions to clarify. Because I remember years ago when I was doing Payday with Ruby, and I know she had made a goal to write in her journal every day. And this particular week, she'd only written in her journal twice. And I'm like, oh, I noticed you wrote...
No, I think she hadn't written in it at all. And it had gone on for several weeks. It was something like that. So we're like, do you not want to do that goal? Why aren't you writing?
And I asked her, why didn't you write in your journal? She said, oh, I lost my pen. I'm like, oh, it's really that simple. Like sometimes it's an opportunity to resolve concerns where, oh, well, my journal's full.
Let's get you a pen.
My journal's full, or I lost my pen, or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
and you can resolve it. And after we got her a pen, she started writing in her journal.
Yep.
And problem solved. So it's troubleshooting, but not in a negative way.
But going back to the whole idea, though, of being the coach, though, I think it's also an opportunity when you're reviewing jobs in particular. You can get feedback from the members of the family as to how job time is working and whether or not the way you have it set up in your home works. Like Hannah, we have a lot of workers doing a lot of different jobs, and sometimes we haven't thought it through all the way.
Yeah, especially when jobs are reassigned. So like a couple years ago, one of the complaints was, Mom, I'm not getting my job bonus ever. And the reason why is because the person clearing the table isn't bringing me the dishes in time. They're waiting till, 25 minutes past the job timer, and I finally get the dishes.
5 minutes left.
And I don't have time to wipe up the sink and do the dishes. And so then we had to go, okay, yeah, that's not fair to you. Let's resolve this. Let's figure out a solution to this issue. Mm-hmm. But that way she wasn't getting discouraged or frustrated with her job, because if it's something that's they're not able to accomplish, where it's not actually possible for them to accomplish, they'll get discouraged.
Well, no, sometimes, again, having been a football coach, sometimes you design what you think are great plays. And the boys go out there to run the play, and it didn't work out. And then you're like, well, I don't understand why that play didn't work out. And then it's cool because then the boys or the players can give you some feedback and say, oh, well, coach, it would have been a lot
blocked every time.
Yeah, it would have been a lot better if so-and-so went behind me to set a block, and then I could go and block the second guy. And you're like, oh,
let's do that.
Let's do that. So it's cool. You can get feedback. Again, the idea that you're as a team and you're all working together, and the coaches aren't above getting feedback from the players. That'd be a horrible coach. Mm-hmm. So Payday is a great time to get that feedback.
To work out bugs. Yeah. Well, also, like, let's say when you sit down and you make your goals, you do the best you can. But sometimes once you try to get it done, you realize that some of the goals actually aren't achievable. Right. Or you needed to word them differently or tone them back a little. So like one example is, let's say I had a daughter who set the goal, I'm going to be in bed at 8 o'clock every night. Mm-hmm. And she realized that it actually wasn't possible to get that done every night. Several nights of the week, she had activities like youth group and stuff like that, where she wasn't even home at that time.
Right.
So she couldn't be in bed. And so she's like, oh, do I need to leave early? Or, and we discussed it, and we're like, well, all you need to do is put bedtime as your habit, but then in the description say, bedtime 8 o'clock on these days, but on Wednesday and this day, bedtime by 9.
Right. So her goal was to go to bed at an earlier time, but some nights needed a little bit of flexibility. So instead of making this rigid bedtime at 8 o'clock across the board, she was able to go just
refine the goal.
Yeah, just refine the goal.
And make it so it was achievable for her and what was going on in her life at that time.
The app is the idea is you use the description for details about your goal.
Yeah.
So her overall goal was to be healthier and to go to bed earlier, but in the details it gave specifics like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, she went to bed at 8. Wednesday was youth group, so bedtime was 9. And then Saturday, she was able to, it was movie night, so it was 9. And then Sunday, it was back to 8. And it was all very clear in the description.
Yeah, and that helped her not get discouraged with that goal or be like, well, that doesn't really matter. I can't actually do it anyway. So
just a little modification, a little correction there.
So that's Payday's a good time for them to analyze. And sometimes kids, their schedule changes, their life changes, what they're working on changes. And that's a good time to say, you know what, I'm not even doing that anymore. I don't want that to be my goal anymore. I really need my goal to be this.
Oh, and Payday's a great time to review your goals and go, okay, let's change them.
Oh, yeah. Are all these goals still what you want to do? Do you want to change any of them? So that's one of the questions you can ask.
So now I think we're going to move on to the what Hannah and Fontaine have done wrong portion of the program.
Oh, no.
It's the things that we've tried when it comes to Payday that don't work.
Oh, right.
And first of all, Payday, if we haven't made it abundantly clear, Payday is kind of the glue that holds the system together. It's how goals are achieved. Payday is like that really pivotal tool. It's like if you had a whole bunch of tools, you need a saw, you need a hammer, and you probably need a screwdriver. Like of the most important tools for a guy to have, those are up there. There are a whole bunch of other tools you can use, but like those are like the main ones. And Payday is like the hammer or the one of those main tools that you just really can't do without.
It's not going to work if it's not there.
And so here's some of the things we've tried in the past I think we've kind of been exhaustive in different ways of managing Payday. And so one of the things we did was
our goal is to find what's most effective,
right.
What works the best for the group, all the kids, and
so here's some of the things we tried. We tried doing just one-on-one, where I was doing Payday, so it would just be me and one other kid.
Yeah.
We've tried doing Payday as a group. We've tried paying the kids cash. We've also tried paying the kids virtual currency. We've tried doing a direct deposit. For a while there, I remember I didn't even sit down with anybody. I didn't review anything. I just went, I would log onto the app, see everybody's pay, and just go click pay. I wouldn't even review what they'd done. I wouldn't sit down with them or anything, and then deposit the money directly into their bank accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also tried doing it less frequently.
Not instead of every week.
That's so tiring.
Let's do it every other week,
really,
or once a month.
Weekly, it's so much work, so tiring. Every other week would be better. Or maybe, like you said, once a month.
We've tried these things.
And the consensus is, first of all, one-on-one versus group Payday. We've discovered, interestingly, that when we do it as a group, you would think people would be embarrassed or it wouldn't be as effective, because it's like okay, here's where it differs from your workplace, where what if the boss sat everybody down and paid everybody and everybody saw how much everybody was making? You'd have an uproar. But for some reason in our home, when we do Payday, having it as a group works way better than one-on-one.
It's kind of the opposite of what you would think.
And it's weird, but we've tried both ways. And the reason why is because, again, it goes back to that whole team idea of everybody watches the game film and everybody gets their accolades and the rewards based off of their performance and in the game in the previous week. And so in our family, we found it's more exciting, it's more fun, there's this positive social pressure to do better next time.
Well, also the way it's set up, instead of competing against each other, like let's say there's only this amount of money available, whoever gets the most amount of the piece of pie, you're the winner.
Right, you're all fighting for your piece
limited,
of the pie. Yeah.
Where really you're competing against yourself. And so one time I was trying to get my kids to learn to run faster. And so I would have them do running all through the week, like sprinting. And on Fridays, we would have, I don't know what I would call it. We would have our track meet.
I remember that.
We'd have a track meet. Only they weren't competing because my kids were different ages. And so it didn't make sense to have them compete against each other. My 5-year-old was going to lose every week against the 10-year-old. That just was not going to work. But instead, what I did is I had them compete against themselves. And so the goal was they would get a treat if they could run faster than they had run the week before.
Right.
And so I had a long run and a shorter run. And so they had 2 chances to get the treat. And they progressed so fast, but there was none of that negativity towards each other. It
wasn't a competition.
It was about them, and did I beat my time?
Right.
Did I beat my time? And so it wasn't a competition against other people. It was a competition against themselves. And it was good to have the group there, but it didn't have that negative energy of...
Because they were all working to improve themselves, and so that was a positive energy flow.
Yeah, and so this is kind of the same thing. You're not... you're the winner this week. No, it's how'd you do in your
You're not fighting
competition
for
against
a piece of limited pie.
There's not one first place
right.
ribbon. You can get first place. You can get the bonuses. You that opportunity is there for you, and the only person you're competing against is yourself.
Right.
And so because it's this positive, it works well to do it as a group. But part of it is they look over and they see, okay, let's say in your family, you have the potential of earning $15 per week, more or less, and let's say you kind of had a lousy week, but you earned $2. You did some stuff and you earned $2 and you're like, cool, you got your $2. Hey, my $2 for the week. And you look over and the person next to you got 15, but they didn't take that away from you. But you know how they got it. They didn't miss doing their jobs. They accomplished all their goals. They took the time to mark their points. And you're like, I can do that.
Yeah,
I can do that.
What was I thinking? I can do that.
Yeah. Instead of like, oh, they win, they always win. Instead, there's this feeling of, I could do that. I can have the $15 too, just as well as them. It's not, oh, if I get it, they don't get it. It's,
right.
I could have that too, and that opportunity is just as much available to me and is accomplishable.
Yes.
And so it actually motivates them to see the other people being paid. It actually serves as a motive because they're happy with their $2, but they're like, wait, I could be getting 15.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Okay. And the thing is, though, and we discovered this, that for some reason only seems to work, though, when we're handling cash.
Yes.
And we did a huge blog and podcast about this where...
Yeah, and if you haven't listened to this, go back and listen to it because it's really
cold,
interesting.
Hard cash, where payday is a literal manifestation of the hard work that you have done during that week, and the cash is that physical manifestation of your hard work.
Yeah, and there's psychological reasons behind it, but for adults, for everyone, handing them cash.
Even 2 and 3-year-olds get it.
It works a lot better. If you haven't listened to that podcast, do it. But we highly, highly, highly recommend that you hand people cash.
Right. Moneypants, use cash.
Use cash.
Just use cash.
Use cash. We've tried all the other options. They are not nearly as effective. So that we discovered doing Payday as a group.
And then the only other thing was, got to have it on every week. Got to have Payday every week. Because we noticed is that if we went more than a week, that people would... You remember this, Hannah.
You fizzle out.
I thought, you know what? I could skip this week. And we discovered really quickly that if you don't hold Payday every week, and I'm not sure, there's got to be some psychology behind it, but you fizzle out really quick.
Yeah.
Where...
You can go a week and then try again the next week.
You got to reset.
Start over.
Well, no, and because for some reason that you mentioned it, Hannah, where you're like, it's like a marathon.
It feels like a marathon.
The week is a marathon, and that finish line, you can't move that finish line. If the finish line, you get to the end of the week, and your parents are like, oh no, we're going to move the finish line to the following week. It destroys your motivation to keep running because you're like, oh my gosh, another week. But there's something else that happens. If you don't hold Payday every week, your family members will lose trust in you, and they'll lose trust in the system. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, okay, duh. If your place of employment stopped giving you paychecks, how long would you keep showing up at work?
Yeah. So,
like if they stopped paying you, would you keep working? And would you still be motivated to give it your all if you knew, you may or may not be getting paid this week?
You might get paid. You might
not.
But I'm doing this hard work and I'm trying so hard, and then...
That would totally destroy all the motivation to keep working.
Yeah.
It really would.
It does. It actually does. We've done this before, and
so
it does.
Don't do what we did.
So when the end of the week comes, when Payday comes, you feel like, oh, finish line.
Right.
You feel like finish line, and it's like almost this breath of fresh air of, I finished, I did it. And there's a sense of crossing a finish line and kind of a relief that comes with that.
Yes.
But then also, let's say you had a bad week and you didn't mark your points, you weren't getting stuff done, and then you realize, I'm not going to get my bonuses. I kind of messed up this week. When you have Payday, you get your $2. There's this sense of, okay, clean slate. I'm starting over. I have another chance. And so I can start over.
Zero.
Everything goes to zero. Yep. It's a new week. It's a new week, and you're starting over. And you feel re-energized. I can do this. Yeah. Let me give it another go. And so it accomplishes more than one thing. It's that finish line, that relief, but then also it's hope of, okay, that week wasn't so great. I can do it this week.
And you know the phrase, hope springs eternal. Maybe I didn't get my goals done last week, but this week
I can do it this week.
I can.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if you've done Payday, maybe your parents have given you, whoever's in charge of conducting Payday, they've given some feedback and some ideas on how to accomplish the goals that you've set out to do.
Yeah. And so the last thing along those lines is every family, sometimes there's a crisis or I don't know, you had a baby, or so things just went out of whack at home. Something unexpected happened, or your whole schedule went off and nobody was marking points, and you didn't hold payday. And okay, nobody's doing their jobs anymore. Nobody's marking their points. Oh, we need to start over. Mm-hmm. The best way to start over and get everyone back on track, believe it or not, isn't to say, okay, guys, we're going to do it for real this week. Let's start marking our points. That doesn't work. The best way to get everybody believing you is to hold payday. Even if nobody made any money, even if nobody has marked anything for weeks, hold a payday, pay whatever money is owed.
25 cents.
And all of a sudden, it'll be magical. The next week, people will be doing their jobs and marking their points.
You've reestablished that trust, and basically you've jump-started the system.
Yeah.
And payday you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so that is the one thing where it catches their attention. They're like, oh, they are serious.
Yep.
They did payday.
Yep.
So even if you're like, well, nobody really did anything, nobody marked their points, hold payday, and that will restart your system if you ran into problems.
Brilliant. A great point. So I think let's wrap it up here with just some quick thoughts on specifics, like when you're actually doing payday. And I want to talk about, when you're handing over the cash, unlike an allowance, it is not a free-for-all. So kids who do Moneypants have specific financial obligations. It's not, hey, here's your money, see you next week. No.
Yeah, go party.
But the first thing when you hand over the cash, before anything else happens, is you should make sure that the cash they've received matches the piggy bank.
Yeah, so the cash that they have in their little cash bag, their total amount of money, that needs to match the app. And what it says on the top of the piggy bank, hey, their total amount of money is this. Mm-hmm. That needs to match what's in that bag of cash.
Right.
And if it doesn't, you need to find out why it doesn't match, because it could be the money got stolen, which hopefully it didn't, but that can happen. It could be that they spent some money.
They lost the money.
And they spent the money and they forgot to say, oh, yeah, I forgot I bought a milkshake and I spent, $4.
Enter their receipts.
They need to enter their receipts. Or if they have too much money in their bag, it could be that they made money and they didn't, got a gift from grandma for birthday or something, and they didn't enter that in.
Right.
And so you want to rectify that. If you rectify that weekly, it's no big deal, because
that's a great life
they'll
skill.
remember, and they'll remember, oh yeah, I spent money this week. Mm-hmm. But if you let that accumulate, what ends up happening is it just becomes a mess. And so
the longer you let it go,
the longer you let it go. Yeah, but if you just always check, okay, count your money in your bag, and it's a good reinforcement of, hey, this is the money I've earned. Have them count the money, make sure it matches this. Great.
When you get in a bank account, Hannah, you have to balance it every month. You have to make sure that what the bank says your balance is matches what you think your balance is. And if there's a problem, you need to fix it.
Yeah, and this is good money hygiene, because sometimes your money does get stolen in the real world. We had an experience when we were living in Burbank where
years ago,
where my husband would always balance the accounts. I'm like, why does he make me do that? You, Fontaine, you'd always have us like carefully balance the accounts, and I didn't understand why we were doing it. I'm like, why is he making me do this?
Yep, I was a little anal.
And one time it was over $2,000.
That was $3,200 and some odd dollars.
Yeah, it was thousands of dollars off. And so you're like,
a thing that I didn't recognize. I'm like, I don't remember. But you have to remember though, Hannah, we had like a $25,000 limit on our card. So it was a huge credit card, and we paid it off every month. We had plenty of money in the bank account. It was on auto pay. If I hadn't been paying close attention and balancing the account every month, I would have never noticed.
Yeah, and it could have continued.
But
we wouldn't have gotten that money back.
But there was a $3,000 charge that I was able to find and go, wait a minute, I don't remember this. And I checked all my records, and it didn't match anything we had bought. Called up the credit card company, and they told me what it was for. And I'm like, nope, certainly didn't buy that. I certainly did not buy that.
Yeah, it was not for something good. Anyway, so
we were able to spot the problem.
We were able to spot it. We were able to get our money back. We weren't damaged in any way. But that's something, it's good money hygiene right there.
So Another thing you want to do after you've handed over the cash is at that point, whoever you're paying, they can pay back any family expenses. So, for instance, we normally recommend that if one of your kids buys something like on Amazon or online, they hand over the cash for that item at that time when they buy it. But sometimes
that's not possible.
It just won't happen. And so the app has a provision for that where you can have them enter in an expense and they can pay the family back on payday.
Yeah, it says, did a parent buy this for you? And if you said yes, what's going to happen is on payday, it's going to be like, oh, Billy owes
It'll remind you
the
on payday.
family
Yep.
$20.
So this is a perfect time to collect that money back. But also on payday, that's a good time to pay bills. Like if your children have soccer registration or piano classes or whatever is due, great time to pay that. Just get that paid up, and because they've just been paid. And the reason they're getting paid the money is to pay for these things that they're saving up for anyway.
Yeah, so like if they need it in a check form, you can go, okay, write a check, hand me the money.
Yep.
Done.
Get all the money transactions taken care of for the week. And then the next thing, kids are doing job time. I hear the vacuum. But I think I need to kind of clarify a little bit how when you click that Pay Now button, what the app does is it allocates that money.
Do you want me to tell them to stop vacuuming?
No.
With that? Okay. All right.
Let them vacuum.
Okay.
It's job time. We're doing this during job. We're doing our job. The kids are doing their job. There's the 10, 10, and 10 rule that we adhere to. And that's going to be a different podcast. We're going to talk about that in the future, how the app and how we recommend you budget your money and how the app does it. But basically the idea is 10% goes into tithing or donations, 10% goes into savings, and 10% goes to fund money. And then the remaining 70% goes towards any expenses. That's how the app allocates money when you do payday. And so, again, like we said, unlike a traditional allowance, which is a free-for-all, Moneypants is not.
Yeah.
Only 10% of that money goes
Is a free-for-all.
Is fun money. And yeah, because our kids have specific, financial responsibilities. And we'll talk about that in the directed spending podcast and the directed spending video, which is so awesome. And I love that concept. And I thought we did a great job on the video. But the app budgets all that money automatically, and it'll put it in the right piggy bank, so everything's
so
nice
all your
and
bills
organized.
will be paid on time, and you don't have to worry about that.
And then in our family, what we did, Hannah, for fun money, is we would let the older kids have their fun money to hold. The rest of their money, though, would go into their expense baggies, which would be stored in the family safe. But for their fun money, hey, you know what? You can have it.
Put it in your pocket. Spend it on what you want.
Yep. Ice cream. The ice cream man comes by. It's all yours. You go to the store and you want candy. Great. But we noticed, though, when we did that, kids younger than 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Especially 5, 4,
and
3.
If we would hand them the money, it was uncanny. They would, seriously, it would be like this. Okay, here's your money.
2 minutes
lost
later, it was gone.
Wait, where'd it go?
It was,
I don't know. Where's your money?
You might as well flush it down the toilet.
So for kids younger than that, we would put all of their money into their expense envelope and then put that in the family safe. But for the older kids, we'd actually hand them their fun money and they could do whatever they wanted with it. And it's kind of a really cool precursor to get them used to handling their own money without all the responsibility of handling all their money, just that fun money that if they lose it, that's too bad for you, but they can still pay their bills.
And it reflects reality where when you make money at work, you don't go, wow, I got a paycheck, let me go party.
Right.
You have bills to pay. You have other things that you want and that you've budgeted out, and only a fraction of your money is spent on, having fun.
And then for the younger kids, when they do receive, when they have their expenses, we whip out the prize bag. And we'll talk about that too, where in another podcast, the prize bag is a really cool idea for kids younger to get them to understand how money works. You hand them the money and then they go and they buy something from the prize bag immediately so they can make the connection between receiving money and then turning that money into the prize of the item that they want.
Yeah, it helps them make the connection. So that's very useful for 3 to 5 year olds.
Yeah, and they pick up on it pretty quick.
Yes, and so by the time 5, 6, or 7, you can say, "Oh, we're going to go shopping. Go get your money back." They understand it. But for the very young kids, what you do is you go shopping. like let's say they need swim trunks or something like that. You let them pick out their favorite ones. You put it in the prize bag with the price tag. And on payday, when they have enough, then you go, oh, you've got $5. Give me your $5. Yes. You get yours.
And they're very excited.
And they're very excited because they're the swim trunks they picked out.
So to kind of wrap it up here, because boy, wow, payday is so critical and so important. We've kind of really plowed through a lot of these concepts, but in summary, to kind of summarize, payday should be fun. Payday should be cool. I like the pizza idea, Hannah. That was great. The coaches that have the pizza. But what I used to do when I would go to the bank is I would grab a handful of dum-dums, those little stupid candy thingies, the lollipops, the tiny little lollipops they have at the bank. I'd grab one for each one of the kids, stick them in my pockets when I would come home with all the cash for doing payday. And so after we were done with payday for each person, I'd hand them a dum-dum and off they'd go. And it was a fun thing. But there really should be kind of that big party atmosphere.
You can have donuts there. You can, whatever you guys want to do for fun.
Everyone should leave feeling motivated, but you should also pay them with cash so they're holding the money, feeling the reward. Oh, and after you pay them the cash, they should count their money, all of it. And that's part of, making sure that their piggy banks match their actual cash, because they need to handle that money to feel the value of what they've been accomplishing. It's really cool. Payday also, it's about building trust with family members. It's got to be held on a regular basis. There's a lot of things you can kind of skimp on, but payday is not one of them. Payday is the glue that holds everything together. And if you remember right, it's just money that you're already spending anyway. Except instead of giving it to your kids, now you're giving them opportunities to become their best selves and learning how to handle money and manage money and develop all those great abilities and talents.
You're accomplishing many, many things.
You're leveraging your money.
Yeah, all at the same time.
And it's vital to the success of, I would say, any family system, but especially Moneypants. And I would like to point out, too, that the reason when you're doing setup, payday is the only job that you can't delete because it's that critical. All the other jobs you can rearrange, modify, change. Payday, you can't, because it's so critical. Without payday, the whole system falls apart. Payday is critical, and it's also really fun, and it's really cool to watch. And that's it. That's all the time we have for today. If you like what you hear in our podcasts, tell your friends. Maybe they would like to listen to. Maybe they are looking for a solution for their family, and this might be it for them. But also, if you have a suggestion for a future podcast, or if you think we're totally off our rockers and we don't know what we're talking about, or maybe you have something to add to this discussion, send us an email. Please, we love feedback. Go to our website, go to support, go to contact us, click the email, send us something, say, hey, I really liked your concept about payday, but you're totally wrong on points A, B, and C. Hey, we'll listen to that. We'll try it out, and we'll let you know, and we'll give you feedback. Oh, in a future podcast, we'll say, hey,
we found a better way to do this.
Yeah, because we're always looking for new ways to be more effective with our limited time and the energy that we have.
Yeah, and the point of this is to support other parents who are trying to accomplish the same thing. So if you have something to add, something that will be helpful to other parents, like tips or tricks that you know of that have worked for you, we want to hear about it. Other parents want to hear about it. So, share what you know.
And that's it for today. Enjoy some Falcon Jasper drumming delight. We'll see you next time.